Today is Wednesday, September... Thanks. Hey guys, welcome to episode 24 of the Knit Now Swatch Later podcast. My name is Courtney. Today is Wednesday, September 23rd, 2020. I'm coming to you from Pennsylvania, where I live with my husband and our 2 dogs and 2 cats. This is a knitting podcast. You can find me on Instagram as Knit Now Swatch Later and on Ravelry as Pup. Everything that I talk about in the episode, including projects and other shop mentions, are linked in the show notes below. We also have a Ravelry group for this podcast, which you can also find linked in the description box below. So a couple things to talk about at the top of the episode this time. First, I released a new video last week. It was a fabric unboxing, and I also talked about my sewing plans using that fabric. So if you haven't already watched that, I will link to that in the description box below. The next thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is the yarn exchange, which I have mentioned on here before. I have created a Google document or a Google form that I will link to in the description box below. So the plan right now is to have you guys, if you want to participate in the yarn exchange, go ahead and fill out that form, and then once I have enough people signed up to fill up the first tier, I will email everybody that signed up for that first section, and then I will open up another tier. And I think that's just how I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna have you give me your name and your address and your email address so I can contact you, and then once your tier has filled up, I will email you and tell you guys where to send the skein of yarn, and that'll be that. So I'm thinking I will keep it open until the end of October, and at that point I will close it and send out everybody's yarn. So if you're interested in participating in that, feel free to fill out the form using the link in the description box below. So other exciting news that we have for the podcast is that we are coming up on our first anniversary podcasting. So as of October 23rd, I will have been podcasting for a whole year. So I thought it would be fun to have a giveaway for you guys so that we can celebrate. So if you are a maker and would be interested in donating a prize to the podcast, please feel free to send me a message. My email address is knitnowswatchlater@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to talk about your shop on an episode of the podcast and talk about what you donated to the giveaway. So I'm really excited about that. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about before getting into the actual knitting is that if you have been following me on Instagram, you already know, but I did decide to start a project bag sewing business last week. If you're interested in more details about that, I'm going to save those for the end and get into the actual knitting content of this podcast. So first up, for works in progress, I have in my Fates Thread project bag, I have my second morning coffee sock by the Crazy Sock Lady. I have my Zero Progress Keeper here from Simply Serving, marking where I was the last time I showed this on the podcast. And I had really hoped that I would finish this sock by the next episode, but with all the sewing that I did last week to try and get ready for the craft fair, I did not work on these nearly as much as I had planned to. So I just got past the heel flap and I turned the heel, and I'm still in the gusset decreases. So not as much progress as I would have liked to see, but I tried. So this is in Dizzy Fabers in the colorway The Creek, which I am really enjoying. And yeah, so hopefully, maybe I should stop saying I'll finish it by the next podcast. Hopefully I will have this finished by the next episode. So I haven't really worked on my Mamo cardigan, so I'm not going to show that. The next thing that I have is in my Vintage by Lindy Lou project bag. And in here I have my Anchors cardigan, which I finally was able to get onto a bigger needle. So I was able to work on that a little bit more. My Oogie Boogie Progress Keeper right here is where I was the last time I showed it on the podcast. So a good bit of progress. I am on the last ribbing section of the yoke, and then I think I move on to the raglan shaping for the sleeves, and then I will split for the sleeves. So pretty good progress on that. So the next work in progress that I have to show is a new cast on, which I know I have no business casting on new projects, but I did it anyway. I cast this on last night, and it is in one of my bags that I made for the craft show this past weekend. Has bees on it, and I also have this cute rose progress keeper that I put on the zippers of all of my bags. And the lining is a matching bee fabric, which I thought was super fun. So in here I have started a Felix Pullover, and I'm just past the short row increases, and let's see, just past the short row increases and working on the raglan shaping. I cast this on last night, and this is the progress that I've made already, so it is working up very quickly. I'm using the needles that the pattern calls for, which is a US size 10, and the yarn that I'm using is Knit Picks Bravo 500 in the colorway Hunter. So really enjoying that so far. I just got to a point on my other sweaters that I felt like I wasn't really making any progress, so I wanted to cast on something a little bit more mindless for evening TV, and that seems to be filling that void in my knitting very nicely. So the next work in progress that I have is a sewing whip. This is a little T-Rex plush that I am working on for my friend's daughter. She loves dinosaurs, so I have been working on this for her. All I have is the head. Next up is the body, but there's darts and all kinds of crazy things going on with that, so I have not had the nerve to start that yet. But that is coming along pretty nicely. I think I did all of that sewing in about a day. Then I stuffed the head and set it aside. So moving into acquisitions, I have one acquisition, and this is from the Yarn Outlet in Colorado Springs. My friend went to Colorado last week to visit her family, and she brought me some yarn. So this is super exciting for me. This is Nature Spun, and it is spun and dyed by the Brown Sheep Company, and the colorway is Tropical Surf. And I thought it was really neat that this yarn is by the same company that dyes and spins the yarn for my Anchors cardigan. So I thought that was really neat, and she picked a really pretty color, so I'm really excited to use these. Next up, I have a couple of books to talk about. If you remember last week, or in the last episode of the podcast, I was reading The End of Oz by Danielle Paige. I finished it. It was really good. There's not much to say about it. If you don't know the series, then you're not going to understand anything that I have to say about it anyway, but it was really good. I highly recommend it. It's a fast read. Actually, I think it's for young adults, but it's a pretty fast read and it's pretty entertaining, so I would recommend that if you are interested. With that being said, I finished one book and moved on to the next. So I took the cover off of it, the sleeve, but I am reading Home Before Dark by Riley Saeger, and I'm really enjoying it. Riley Saeger has become one of my favorite authors. Everything that he writes is great. I am really enjoying it so far. It's about a book. It's a book about a book. And basically there's like a haunted house, and the one chapter is from the book, and then the next chapter is about the main character of the book and how she is having to deal with this book that was written about her life. And it's really interesting. And I'm not that far in, I think only like 100 pages, but I'm already like in. I am sold. I read a little bit every night, and it is really good. So I would also highly recommend that one. All right, so moving into chatter, all I really have to talk about this week is I mentioned at the top of the episode that I did decide to start a project bag business. My first event was last weekend, and I didn't decide to do this until like Wednesday night of last week, and the craft fair was on Saturday, so I had a lot of sewing to do. So I thought I would show a couple of the bags that I made. I don't have a website yet. After the craft fair, which is this Saturday, the 26th, I have plans to put the rest of the bags that didn't sell up on the website along with some new stock. So be on the lookout for that. If you don't already, you can follow me at White Rose Fiber Company over on Instagram, and then I also have a Facebook business page, which is the same thing. It's at White Rose Fiber Company. So I have 3 different size bags. One is a large, which is this size. This is a really pretty floral print that I found. They're all zipped, and then this is the print that I chose for the inside. And then they all have boxed bottoms, so they stand up really nice. And then I have my business card, which I think is super cute, but I am a little bit biased. So there's a large bag. And then the other print that I have is this really cute bee fabric. I already showed the one that I have my project in, and then I have these small ones. Same print on the inside. Notions pouches. The medium size is what I have my project in. So if you're interested in any of that, keep an eye on my Instagram and my Facebook. I will be launching a website very soon. So I'm really excited about that. I have a few more bags to make for the craft fair for this Saturday. I keep looking out the window because I'm waiting on a shipment of fabric that is supposed to be delivered today. Some fun Halloween prints that I will show on my Instagram when they come in. And I think I'm going to wrap it up there. So thank you so much for watching, and if you haven't already, please make sure to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I put out a new podcast episode every 2 weeks, so until next time, happy knitting. Bye!